The next one is a movie that Barry has brought up. I haven't seen it, so keen to hear your views.
So this one is a lot less profound. It's pure entertainment. It's a movie called Tolkien, and it's about the great writer JRR Tolkien, right? And why I brought it up was because I was a huge fan of The Lord of the Rings. I still am, and I think it's one of the greatest trilogies ever written. And so Tolkien is one of those great writers who really redefined the fantasy genre of novels. And what this movie does is it looks at his life as a boy and kind of shows some of the influences and some of the reasons that he came up with all the various things and he built Middle-earth, right? And why the movie is so powerful is that it ostensibly is a movie about language. It's talking about how Tolkien built this world off the basis of a language that he invented when he was 11 or 12 years old, right? So in fantasy, a lot of authors will build these giant worlds with history and with people and character backgrounds and languages and whatnot. And he kind of started from the language. And one of the most powerful pieces of this movie is when he's sitting across the table with his partner at the time, talking about how he can't get the story to work. He's been sitting at his desk for months, and he just is in a bit of a rut. Yeah. And she asks him about the language, and she asks him, "What do the words mean?" And he gives her back a dictionary definition, and she kind of stops him and says, no. What do they mean? Right. And what she tries to pull out of him is that every word we use obviously has a dictionary definition. But if we think about it carefully, it has years and years and years of backstories that got the word to be what it is today. And all of that meaning and all of that connotation is built into the word, and so the sound of saying a word is not that important. What that word represents is important. And that becomes a metaphor for the rest of his story, saying that Middle-earth is a world that he is building and everything has meaning. And that's why there's so much depth in his writing and so much depth in that storytelling, because he isn't lazy about it. Yeah. He doesn't just use a word that sounds cool and says, cool, okay, that means that, and then just moves on. Every word is so specifically chosen and so specifically selected to have all this meaning, all this background, all these Easter eggs behind the scenes that a lot of readers won't even recognize because it's too in-depth. But what it does is it builds this world that you can actually imagine in your head, and it makes Lord of the Rings so powerful. So I thought it was a really cool movie. I think it's a really interesting look at what language means and how language is so important in novels and in literature. And there are so few authors these days who take that much care with the specific words that they use or they invent or they make up for their fantasy or their sci-fi novels. And so, yeah, that's all I've got to say on that one. I think you should go and have a look at it. I think that he's a fascinating author. And to write The Lord of the Rings, you've got to be someone special. And so this is a story about how he got to become that person.
Amazing. That is fantastic. And yeah, I think I should definitely go and check that out. That one, I believe, was released earlier this year. So it wouldn't be in cinemas at the moment, but I'm sure we'd be able to find them on kind of some streaming services or something like that. So yeah, I definitely will be watching that. Haven't got through all of the Lord of the Rings, but certainly enjoyed some of the Hobbit movies as well. Chad.
Okay, whoops. First watch the Lord of the Rings, and then get to Tolkien.
Cool. Now that I have clearly offended someone, let's move on to the next thing. Across the pond.